Welcome to Where's My Money? One man, $1 million of debt, one podcast to find a way out.
Welcome back to Season 5 of Where's My Money? Yeah, we're back. So stoked to be here. And I'm kicking off this fresh batch of episodes with another Rags to Riches. Today, I'm chatting with someone every Kiwi knows, Suzy Cato. For decades, she's been the face of children's TV, books, radio, and now podcasts. But behind the warm smile and the kia ora talofa is a force of a woman who's had to make tough calls about money in an industry that doesn't always pay. We talk about the risks she took starting her own production company, the reality of trying to fund children's shows in New Zealand, and why she believes kids should learn about money earlier than most of us were taught. And I throw a few curveballs at her first paycheck, her brushes with living in poverty, and what her kids think she's really worth. Join me as I kind of fanboy over Suzy Cato. Well, I said this before we started recording, and this is a bit surreal, and I'm not trying to fangirl or fanboy over you, but this is just such a crazy full circle moment of having Suzy Cato sitting right in front of me in a real life conversation. Thank you for joining me on Where's My Money?
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me. And I guess we should say then, it's our time.
Yeah.
Kia ora, talofa.
She did it. I wasn't going to make you do it, but you did it on...
you can't not.
I know.
It's such a part of my DNA, but it's also a part of so many Kiwis' lives. It's just amazing.
You really still are a huge part of Kiwi life, even though you might not necessarily be on primetime TV every single day or after school TV or whatever time slot your shows were in at certain points. There was obviously lots of different shows, but you still are part of Kiwi. Like if they were going to rewrite the Kiwi Burger song, I think Suzy Cato would be one of the things on the list, surely.
Wow, and there with the egg and the beetroot and the...
And the Suzy Cato and the you and me and the, I didn't see you come in. I love that. That was my favourite part of the show. So you've lived such a colourful public kind of career, and it's gone from, being a kids TV host to owner of a production company that still makes great kids content. And I guess the reason I wanted to have you on the podcast was talking about where that all came from, your passion for helping young Kiwis grow into fantastic young individuals, but also how you were raised around money and what that sort of means to you. And I thought that's where we could sort of start. What was your upbringing like, and how were you exposed to money as a kid? Was there lots to go around?
No, look, I wouldn't say that there was lots to go around. I grew up in Kiwi. I had my first 5 years in Hamilton, and then Mum and Dad moved up. Dad got a job with the P&T, Postal and Telegraph, up to Kaikoi, and we were there for the rest of my school years. So went through Kaikoi East, West, intermediate school, Northern College, did everything there. And money wasn't a huge feature. We did okay. I know that when we first moved up there, it was quite a struggle at times. There was only the one income. And I remember getting really excited. Mum had, for once, steamed some bread. We'd never had it before. She'd steamed some bread and it had the crusts cut off. And then she buttered it and put Marmite on it. And I went, wow, what a cool way to have sandwiches. They were slightly warm. They weren't toasted, but I didn't realise, because I'd asked for those sandwiches again. There was something soft and gentle and kind of fluffy about them. And I asked if we could have them again, and Mum was absolutely horrified. The main reason she had made sandwiches that day like that was because we didn't have enough money to go and buy a fresh loaf. And so she was using up, making that, that income stretch as far as she could. So whether we had, I think lamb back in those days was cheap as chips, and pork was a lot more expensive. So she would occasionally get some of the pork rind from the butchers and wrap it around the lamb roast, and we would have this crackling on our roast.
On lamb.
Yeah. Just because instead of having the same kind of meal all the time, she was quite inventive, I guess, and that whole number 8 wire philosophy of doing things. But and my dad was a hard grafter, and they always worked really, really hard, put a lot of effort into our garden, so we always had fresh fruit and vegetables and things like that, and was so involved in the community. Once they were established in Kaikoi and we'd grown a little bit, I remember the number of times that we were either with JCs, which is a community group. Oh, what's the other one that Dad was with? wasn't Lions, it was Rotary.
Rotary.
Yep. So the number of times that we would be at the cement yards, bagging cement or scoria, not so much the kids, we were racing around climbing stacks and, digging holes and
Being
all those
kids,
sorts of things. Yeah. But you're still a part of that committee, that community group, getting involved, mucking in, being a part of things. And although we did hobnob with the lawyers' kids and so on, it wasn't like, oh, they are wealthy and we're not. We were all part of the same colourful environment, and we all climbed through in one of the houses that we had in Kaikoui. Behind us was this big stretch of barren land. It was a bit of farmland that had been left to rack and ruined, and I remember piling through there with all the kids in the neighbourhood, and there were little dugouts and people tadpoling and all those sorts of things, but we were all in it together.
That's interesting. You mentioned that you were hanging out with the lawyers' kids, but there was no, they've got money, we don't.
Yeah.
Do you think that would even happen today? Because there's such a consumerism that we live in now that it's hard not to see who has and who hasn't. I feel like it's a more stark difference. Do you think?
Well, I guess it depends on the family that you're growing up in. As kids, when you even today, you've got such a mix of ethnicities and cultures within your classroom.
Yeah.
The kids talk about a new person in the class and they share a name, and you go, hey, tell me a bit about this person. They don't see colour or anything. They might go, well, he's different from me because he's a bit taller.
Yeah.
He's got spiky hair.
But they don't. School bag's blue, I think.
Yeah, that kind
Mine's
of thing.
red.
Yeah. So to kids, I don't think money makes that big difference unless it's pointed out to you by older siblings or older members of your family who are a little bit more conscious of those sorts of things.
So growing up that way, how's that shaped how you parented? You've got a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old, so you're out of the trenches, so to speak, in terms of the early days of parenting. Not that it's going to wrap up anytime soon, but how did that shape how you raised your kids around money?
Well, so with us, as we were growing up, we were my sister and I were always given pocket money and so on. But back then it was like the 50 cents when we were old enough to do our chores and so on. We didn't put money when we had a chore chart with the kids. They would just do their chores. It wasn't about, if you do that, you get your 10 cents and, all those sorts of things. We just made sure, as being part of our team, we all just pitch in and do our chores together and that sort of thing.
Concept of service.
But because I think as I left home, I was one of the first in my group to get a car. I was a great one for saving my money. I just did that automatically. I think in Kaikoui there wasn't the ability to spend money quite as regularly or easily as you could do in the city. Yeah. Whangarei. Oh, those bubblegum jeans at Chanton's.
Whangarei, the big smoke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was much easier to save money. We were more interested in hooning down the road on our bikes or in somebody's backyard in their pool and all those sorts of things, as opposed to going down to the shops. Okay, we did for our ice block or our ice cream or something like that, or packet of crisps. But there wasn't endless movies to go to or theme parks and all the rest of it. And,
it's not like Katy Perry's coming to Kaikoui to perform.
No, anytime soon. So I think for my children it was that, being based in Auckland, there were a lot more options to go and spend money. And we had a warehouse in Birkenhead until a few years ago. So there was always that novelty of going in to see if you could find a bargain and that kind of thing. But I guess we've encouraged our kids to think about what it is that they're spending. What are they purchasing? Why are they purchasing it? And what will they do with it? What are the options? So you just go in and grab that thing, great. Did you know that thing over here is the same price? So we've ended up with kids that have saved quite well.
That's really good.
Both my two saved quite well. The one thing that I'm conscious of is having a poverty mentality, which is something around money which is easy to have if you don't have it or you're afraid of losing it, is that you don't tend to spend because you are in a mode of poverty, that you are, I don't know, it's that whole thing of value and worth you need to invest in yourself as much as anything, in your well-being and your making sure you've got a smart jacket. Those sorts of things that make you feel good, but that are classic pieces that you're going to hang on to and get lots of use out of, so that you know you're getting value for your money.
Yeah. This is something that's so important to teachers, is buying the best you can afford, something that's actually going to last.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fast fashion is a bit of a disaster, I think.
In so many ways, because the quality isn't there.
Totally.
And I don't know, there's that sense of investing in yourself when you are investing a little bit of money in what you're wearing, what you're eating, what you're doing. Rather
than what does someone else think of me, it's how does this make me feel, and what can I achieve now that I feel this way. Yeah.
And going for that positive feeling, that it's a little bit more than just a ready fix. It's actually something that's more long term.
Yeah. And that comes down to something we've discussed a lot, particularly around training kids to be better with money, is instant versus delayed gratification. I could get this thing now, or I could wait, save up a bit money and get a bit more money, get something better down the line. Or if I think about it, for a little bit longer, I probably didn't need that thing at all. Yeah. And it's a tricky one to instill in kids, because they have access to everything. Always, non-stop, 24/7. I can buy something, whatever I want on the internet. I have a debit card. I can go mental and just get anything.
Exactly. It's that instant gratification, which you get on your screen.
Yep.
When you're scrolling and all the rest of it, it's just like, I need that. I need it now. It's what that person has.
Yeah. I won't be cool unless I have that thing.
But how long is that feeling going to last for? Until you see the next thing that's the trendy.
But how do we tell kids this? Do you think, if you were to do, brand new episodes of Suzy's World, and there was a financial series, within that, what would you be teaching them?
I think it's something that we all need, is to look beyond that Instagram window, so that we see that's one part of it, but what's the bigger picture? So interesting philosophy there, but interesting thought about a program for kids around finance that would be really quite valuable, and it would come down to well-being.
Yes.
And looking at your aspirational selves and how people are getting there and why they're getting there. See, one thing Mum and Dad always instilled with us is a really good work ethic. So we had jobs from an early age.
Yeah.
So whether that was, I didn't last too long, I must admit, in the grocery packing situation at the local supermarket. But
too repetitive?
No, it was because Mum and Dad ended up opening a coffee bar right next door, and they needed me in there.
I see, yeah.
But that's where I cut my teeth. And then went into Mum and Dad's coffee bar, starting out with clearing the tables and washing the dishes and all the rest of it and sweeping the floor, through to sandwich prep and all the rest of it. And then when Mum spent some time in hospital, I actually stepped in a little bit more and was looking after collecting all the cash and making sure, prepping for the next day along with the staff. So it gave me a real appreciation of starting from the bottom and working my way up as my abilities went, and then to have that tiny little experience of emptying the cash tin at the end of the day and all those sorts of things really gave me an appreciation for all that mahi that those people were doing resulted in that tin. And so it was all about the decision making. What price are you going to put on a sandwich?
Money in and money out is the basis of it all at the end, but so many layers to it and so many factors, particularly how you look after people, how much they are paid, what their time is worth, what you're worth as a business and an owner of a business. It has to pay dividends to you in the end, otherwise what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. So my kids have both had part-time jobs and so on. Riley went into retail at the age of 15 and did really, really well, and has since gone on and done lots of different work opportunities. My son, his first experience was just before COVID, was a newspaper run.
Yep. How many of us started with paper runs? I remember my first paper run. It's a dying art.
It certainly is, but boy, do you learn the value of money when you see how much you're earning for the amount of work that has to go into it.
Decimals of cents per paper. I remember I was delivering 190 papers twice a week, and I was getting paid like $12 a week. It was crazy. And that wasn't all that long ago,
And it was a really good learning curve. It was like, I finally got some cash. And he was like, yeah. I said, do you want to bank it? He said, I've got my eye on this. And I went, great, okay, yeah, why not? This is your first little pay packet. Why don't you do that? And I said, how long is it going to take you to earn enough money to buy the next one? And he said, oh yeah, I don't think I want that.
Yeah, because it's going to take me about 16 years of this paper run to get there.
Yeah.
We've learned a bit about Suzy's appreciation for hard work and money. I wanted to know what she made of the current cost of living challenges so many of us are facing, and how we can set our kids up to face similar challenges when they grow up.
Incredible. It's so hard on families. We are a two-income family, but boy, just making that dollar stretch as far as you can. We are hunting for the bargains, so we're looking for the specials each week, just purely so that it makes it easier in the long run when those unexpected bills come in.
Yeah.
But we always try and make sure that we've got fresh fruit and fresh vegetables and all those sorts of things in our fruit bowl so that we can go and get a healthy option, because it's all too easy. The junk food option is always so much cheaper and so much quicker, and it fills a hole, but then it makes a bigger hole in the long run.
We were talking about education. I wanted to jump back to that a little bit because, you mentioned, interesting, I hadn't thought about a TV show or a education platform for kids around finance. The current government has suggested, that financial education is really important and that they're going to put it into schools. Do you think that's been missing? Because
Definitely.
some people say that it has been, and some people say, well, it's kind of on parents to train their kids in that area.
Well, it's so long as the parents are trained in that area as well and have good financial skills and good planning and budgeting and all those sorts of things. No, it's such an important skill to have.
And there's no such thing as too early, is there?
No. And when you say that, I hadn't actually thought of it. I've been thinking about it for a little while. In fact, I've been thinking about it for a long time. Even when I was making Suzy's World, the opportunity to do something hadn't quite arisen for it to happen, but there is such a need. And even spending time with my own kids around money, there are lots of simple things that you can do just to make kids aware.
Yeah.
And numeracy opportunities.
Yeah. The basic concepts. We're not talking about compound interest for a 7-year-old, but it's about like
or
what
a
we
57-year-old.
True, but we're talking about money in and money out, and the idea of saving, and the idea sometimes of giving back as well, which is an important thing that it doesn't come in kindy. There's no real place for it at primary school. By the time you're high school, you might end up doing business studies, but there's a big gap.
Well, you do have some classes, some isolated schools or classes doing little school market projects and things like that.
Yep.
So it's giving kids an understanding of the value of money. So it's always that whole, hey, if we get that, then we can only spend that dollar once. So if that's gone, then we don't get to go to the movies as well. We can't do everything. But if we go to the movies on a Chibi Tuesday night, then we've got a little bit more money to go and do something else.
Or we can have popcorn as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've gone and done it. You've mentioned Suzy's World, so I think we're going to cut to your business. You started out in radio. You were on KCC, right?
Yes, I was all those years ago.
Which I love. It's sort of part of the heritage of the company that we're currently sitting in at the moment.
It's a Now and More FM station, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And so you cut your teeth in radio, and then how did you shift across to TV? What was the...
Oh, there was a couple of little... stepping stones. Came down from KCC FM to 91 FM and was the breakfast show with Muzzer in the morning. And
as a radio nerd, I'm loving this.
Oh, yeah. That was so much fun. It was, a really interesting, fun time. And coming from Kaikoui, that was a big culture shock to come to Auckland. I thought, look, I'll give myself an opportunity in Auckland. I don't know that I'm going to fit in. I don't know that I'm really going to enjoy it. I'm going to give myself 3 months, and then I'll probably go and live in Hamilton with my grandparents. So that was the way I was thinking, and moved onto the North Shore, and the beach was so close and so much greenery, and it was just a cool, calm, chill way of life. Fell in love with that area. And the rest is history. So yeah. But
nice.
Had a couple of job opportunities. I was a photographer's assistant for about a year or so. But I also worked in the warehouse of an upholstery drapery company. So that was so much fun. Just in the warehouse, rolling up the fabric, cutting rolls, all that sort of stuff. I did a lot more of the paperwork than the boys did, but that's okay. Those roles were heavy. Did a little bit of time in the office there. I loved being a photographer's assistant. That was great. We just went all over the place, flying out helicopters above Auckland.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, doing all kinds of brand photography and that kind of thing.
Every day is different in those roles, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And same when I ended up with BMG RCA Records. So I was there for a little while in promotions.
Okay.
And it was while I was taking Milli Vanilli and Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics and, I got to meet these people, and John Farnham around to be interviewed, that I happened to meet a bunch of people and be in the right place at the right time. Go to a party, fancy dress may or may not have had anything to do with it, I don't know. It was a schoolgirl's uniform, but got on really well with the executive producers, employees. And I got a telephone call. I'd met him a year earlier and at a barbecue, and we talked about what I really liked in children's television presenters. So for me, a television presenter who was a part of all the chaos inside the studio, but still connected through the camera and really made eye contact and felt like you were really a part of it. I'll just eyeball the camera for a moment.
Nice. You're still good at the barrel. Good.
Oh, yeah. It's really hard actually not to be doing that, but I'm having this conversation with you. But so got this opportunity, and it was a sink or swim one pretty much. There was no training really. We sat around a table, read the script, and I had like 15 minutes in front of the news camera on the Thursday night. On the Saturday morning, I was live to air. So none of the training schools that they have now, that was way, way back, way before those times.
Back in my days.
But just a wonderful thing. And a lot of people looked at me and said, I wouldn't have thought, A, that you would have ever done radio, because I was quite shy as a young person.
God, I can't imagine that.
No, exactly.
I cannot imagine Suzy Cato being a shy person.
But I think that has really helped me in my presenting roles. Is I come from that shyness. I come from that small town. I come from being bullied, all those sorts of things.
So you can connect with the person who's in that position, which is likely a little human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So was that 3 p.m. or was that straight into You and Me?
No, that was straight into the Early Bird Show with Russell Rooster.
The Early Bird Show.
Yeah. Have a cock-a-doodle day.
Yo, doodle-doo, dudes.
So that was 1990.
Wow, the year I was born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a 90.
You won't be familiar with You and Me at all then.
Oh, You and Me? No, definitely.
Sorry.
Yeah.
With the Early Bird Show.
No.
Or 3 p.m., the next program I was a part of.
Not 3 p.m.
No, okay. So that was where I really got an appreciation for the medium. So, and I've told this story many times, we had Mighty Mailbox, this massive big mailbox, big eyes, big mouth. You put your hand in and you'd bring out questions that kids would send in. So whether they wanted pen pals or whatever they, or entering competitions, we used to get big mailbags from kids. And this is back way before email. This is snail mail to the max. And we addressed child abuse 3 times through those letters. The first time we got one of those letters, I went, hey, I get paid to have fun. I'm here linking cartoons and having fun, interviewing people, wearing zany things, cool earrings, all that kind of stuff. I think I'd just turned 21. I was like, hey, I'm not fit for this role, and I handed in my resignation. They didn't accept that. They said, hey, let's take this opportunity to help those kids, and you're just the person to do it.
Wow.
So that really turned my head around. Up until then, it was like, yes, I was involved in ensuring that 3 p.m. was more values orientated, that we only did quality giveaways and there was none of this plastic fantastic and all the rest of it. And that we had a agony aunt column, those sorts of things. But it really gave me an appreciation for the way you can connect through a podcast, through television, through radio. You can make some fantastic connections with people. And so when You and Me came up, I put my hand up straight away. I was one of 70 people auditioning for the role, and I was the second presenter of You and Me. Prior to me, there was an amazing woman called Pauline Cooper, and she'd gone off to work with an organisation called Parents as First Teachers. And I just started singing lessons. I can't remember how I ended up without a job. And, that's right. A new broom came sweeping through at TV3 and a lot of us were let go. There were 9 kids programs all let go at the same time. Luckily, I just made my last repayment on my car. So that was like one big bill.
What kind of car?
It was a Honda Accord.
Love it.
So she was the original presenter, was one of 70 auditioning, had just started singing lessons. So I was without work and went, how can I best utilise this time? I can get knitting done, I've got a great garden, all that kind of stuff. And I went, okay, I've always wanted to take singing lessons. So I'd been to about 3 lessons when I had to take in It's Our Time, Kia ora, talofa. And I said, would you help me learn how to sing this? She said, it's really basic. I said, no, but it's a big opportunity. You and Me wasn't as well known as it was a few years later, but it was a great opportunity to go down there and audition, flown down to Dunedin, and haven't looked back, basically. So when You and Me came to an end, I was asked whether I wanted to create another program for kids, and I said yes, I'd love to do something around science, and put a team together because I'd always been in front of the camera, never behind it. I put a team together to help me create Suzy's World.
2,000 episodes of You and Me. That is an incredible run, isn't it?
Incredible. 5 years we were making that program.
Did you have... Sorry, we will go back to Suzy's World in a minute because it's so iconic, but You and Me became... That was you. It
became that way. I don't know if that was ever the intention, although they only ever wanted one presenter, like High Five around that time, and The Wiggles, there were multiple people, and What Now has multiple people. They only wanted one person because you then had that one-on-one connection, that one-on-one conversation.
It's in the name.
Yeah, You and Me.
But did you have any idea they would ever become, so intrinsically connected to you, the part of your identity, and so iconic as a Kiwi show?
No. I know how much I loved it. I know how much I loved the fact that I flew to Dunedin and for 2 weeks focused on pretty much nothing else, and that I was so fortunate to have such a great crew. And they were all written, the scripts were written by kindergarten teachers and directed by kindergarten teachers. So they basically had to learn the skill of writing and directing. They'd been taken directly from a kindergarten into that television production and, right, let's teach you how to make television.
Amazing.
So it was all about the child. The focus was completely on the child. And Rex Simpson, the executive producer who created You and Me and all those other kids shows, the In Focus and the 3 p.m, the Early Bird Show, all those sorts of things, is such an innovator, a man before his time, really. But he had such a passion for ensuring that a kid's voice was heard, that they were seen, that they were hearing their stories, hearing their voices, and that was instilled in me as well. So You and Me was a wonderful, and how it connected with people beyond kids.
Of course.
I was doing a book signing once. You and Me never actually produced any books. So when parents started saying, is there a You and Me storybook? I went to the executive producer and I said, are you going to put one out? And he went, no, we won't. I said, would you mind if I did then? So I think I've got 11 titles now, but I had about 4 or 5 around that time of You and Me. And it was all about imaginative play, a child, an imaginative play. And I love to think of this, if I had sold per head of capita overseas, in, say, in America, because we were selling thousands of books, but if I'd sold them per head of capita in America, apparently I'd have been retired. But
Yes, I imagine you would have.
Yeah.
But that said, was that the turning point? Was the book title the turning point from turning what was such a passion project into... You're starting to make business decisions here.
Yeah. No, I think more Suzy's World was the real business decision.
And so was that the inception of Tree Hut for Suzy's World?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you're not just hosting, you're a shareholder, you're part of this production, so you own it.
Yeah.
You own the IP. How did that pivot come across in terms, how did it happen and how did you feel about turning passion into business?
I think one of the things is that if you don't realise what it is that you're getting into, it's so much easier to do. But if you've got an idea of how much work it is,
Yeah. The fear will prevent you from actually doing it.
Yeah. It's like getting your toes over the door of the open plane with a parachute on your back type thing. It's like, that sounds really, really good until you get there, and it's But so massive learning curve, and so grateful for the people that I put around me who had all the years of experience in production and allowed me to present to begin with, and then I learnt so much more about that whole reporting system and all the cash flow, and I still employ the people to do that side of things.
Yeah.
Because although you can be good at lots of things, you want to be really good at one or two things.
Jack of all trades, master of none, etc.
Exactly.
But you have that experience from being in the cafe or the bar and knowing money in, money out. Those things you learnt so long ago came back into play.
Yes, exactly.
Did it pay what you thought it was going to pay? You know, owning a production company and hosting the TV show, was it big paychecks? Was it celebrity status?
No way. No, but look, really interesting. The philosophy that I gathered around You and Me was, with a preschool program, the broadcasters couldn't put any advertising around it.
Yeah.
So we had no branding. I look back at some of the older, that first episode, those first series of You and Me, and I had Gene Jones, I think it was. Gene Jones, which was a store here in Auckland. I don't know whether it was around the country, but I'd gone and got some big baggy T-shirts and stuff, which worked really well with the You and Me kind of
the vibe.
asexual, that kind of big, baggy, loose.
Yeah.
And a big part of that was because I'm crawling all over the floor.
Yeah.
You know, microphone packs out behind and all the rest of it. You didn't need things so visible that we went for a more baggier look. And but I remember getting these outfits, and I could only wear them about once or twice, and then the company said, "Oh, actually, we can't wear that. That's actually branded." So the only one we managed to get really away with was Cosmic, because that was iconic and so appropriate for kids. As in,
this is the fluorescent
highlighter,
which became iconic.
Yeah. So the whole philosophy around broadcasting for me was that because it's children's content, it isn't commercial. And so I went right back the other way. And although I did, as a company owner, obviously make an income and so on, I didn't commercialise it the way I potentially could have. So
you saw it as service at the time. So, you know.
Yeah, and that was part of my role but I was so invested in You and Me and the values around that I was more than happy for that. And for, even with Suzy's World, once again, it was fully educational, and so really important that everything went straight back into the program to make it better, so that we can make more episodes.
Investing in the business.
Yes, investing in your business, definitely.
Was there a point though, you know, did you have any darker moments where you were kind of like, this isn't, you know, I love the service and I love what I'm doing for kids because it's so important, but at some point, you know, we need we need a new house, we need money. Did you have a moment where you're like, is this worth it? Were there any darker moments during the whole process where you're like, this is really hard? Like, this is really hard.
Every time you put in a proposal for funding, you don't know whether you're going to get it or not. So yes, the hardest time was being let go by TV3 and being cast adrift, basically. And I took it particularly hard, because not only was it that they didn't want, and that's the thing, is when you are a presenter and the owner of the business and the executive producer and so on, you are so much more invested.
Yeah.
As opposed to you take your executive producer who's looking at the bottom line and, you know, all that is accountancy side of things and where the income's coming in, how it's going out, da-da-da-da-da. As a presenter, you are going, hey, this is my job, or that kind of thing. You lump that all in together. You take it quite personally when not only the program, but you no longer fit the model or the mould that they're looking for.
Yeah, you're not just the face of it, you are it.
Yeah. So talk about dark times. Yes, that was days in bed and depression and all the rest of it.
How did you come back from that?
I think my husband is incredibly supportive. I've got a fantastic family and friend network, and I've learnt that if somebody tells me no, then there's a really good chance that I'm going to find a yes. So,
Yeah.
so a good example of that was we went out to Middlemore Hospital for the kids' Christmas party and met a young constable, Constable Brian Ward, who really wanted to do something along the lines of Constable Keith and Sniff from What Now?
Yep.
And he got me thinking about how we might be able to do something like this. And I suggested that he nip away and find a little warehouse puppet or something like that, take it into schools and see if it would work. Because the moment you offer somebody who's got a great idea, there's a little bit of work around it. Often that great idea is too hard and they don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But he went off and got funding from, I think it was the Lions or Rotary, got funding to make a prototype for the Bobby that we actually used on the program. So he had this, and he got some advice from me because of the work that I'd done with. It's amazing. You never know the skills that you're going to pick up from previous work experience or life experiences that you can use again in later life. So here we are. My production company is making a television program with puppets. So I was able to call on some of the skills that I had having worked with puppets all those years ago.
Of course. And you probably the drapery factory as well, with a bit of fabric experience.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we need to dry clean that. So he went off and he had a puppet made and he took it into the schools and it was a huge success. So it was like, okay, what are we going to do? I ended up putting a proposal together, went to TV3 and said, hey, we've got this amazing opportunity here. New Zealand Police, yada, yada, yada. They went, we've just missed the funding round. You'll have to come back next year. So I said, really want to make it now. If I find the funding, would you play the content? They said, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thinking not for a moment that I'd find the funding.
Of course, yeah.
We did. We found funding for 3 series. So, and in the end, New Zealand On Air came on board and helped fund it as well. But we found funding to make it happen. So tell me no, and I might just find a yes and make it happen. Yeah.
That's probably a lesson for a lot of people who are trying to set up whether they're setting up a business, they're thinking whether they should continue their business or don't take no for an answer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If it really means a lot to you, don't take no for an answer the first time.
No, and one of the things I listened to, it wasn't a podcast because back then they hadn't been invented. It was a talkback show or an interview on radio many, many years ago.
Great medium, radio, we love it.
Oh yeah, we do. Because you can do so much while you're listening.
Yep.
You take that screen away and you can start thinking and daydreaming while you're listening. It's fantastic, except for when you're driving. Not such a good look. But it was about the fact that Kiwis were shocking in that we would make a mistake, we'd have a failure, and that was it. We would throw down our tools.
Job done.
That's it. We're never trying that again.
Yeah.
Whereas America and Australians, they'd fail. Damn. And they'd do it again. Still didn't quite get it right, but got it better than last time. Let's try one more time. Oh, yeah, hey. So you use your failures as stepping stones. They're not failures, they're stepping stones. So if you take the personal out of it and can be creative around it and come in it from different angles, then you are going to be better at doing it each time. Well, that's the idea. Some of us don't learn that way and we keep doing it again because we put the blinkers on and we won't see any other way. But COVID was great to teach us how to pivot.
Totally. The whole world had to, but particularly us down the bottom of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entertainment industry knew how to pivot long before that, and children's television presenters learned how to do that long before that as well, because you have to. You can't rely on it. You need to be multi-skilled and prepared to do things.
When you've done it, you've pivoted quite a few times.
Oh yeah.
Tree Hut Tree Hut's still active, right? You're still making content for kids.
So I've got a radio show on 25 radio stations. I've got podcasts. I've got my YouTube channel. Every week I read a story that came out of COVID. I'd sit in my chair in the corner of the room and read a story. To begin with, in COVID, it was late night reads of kids' books, kids' novels, for those that weren't able to go out partying. And I used to have thousands, June, and it was wonderful. Now I read a different picture book.
So you're the queen of the pivot.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
really are.
We haven't even got to Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We don't need to bring that up. But these are all simple ideas.
Yeah, so simple.
But there's simple ideas that weren't being done by anyone else. And you've gone, well, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah. And look, I haven't commercialised the channel. It doesn't have the views necessarily that I would like, but I haven't advertised it either or anything like that. So, and that has I'm having to change that. New Zealand On Air is encouraging me to change that because I only monetised the channel a couple of years ago, because up until then it was like, how can you monetise something for kids, because it's going to throw advertisements up all over it.
Yeah. It's a tricky space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some of those ads aren't appropriate.
No, but I think there's something quite noble about about the fact you're not putting the business first. You're actually putting the output first and the content and the audience first, which is rare these days.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be in business very long or doing it for very long if you're not making the money to be able to be sustainable and to keep it going. Thank goodness for New Zealand On Air and they see the value and the reach that I have had and continue to have. So the latest funding round, I've got a whole new series of You and Me coming.
Oh, are you joking me?
No, I'm not.
Is this an exclusive?
I thought I've been dropping this news all over the place, but no one's picked it up. So yes, it's an exclusive.
Where's My Money exclusive? So You and Me's back for 2025, 2026.
26. So we are in the
amazing.
process of recreating the opening titles and various elements of the show and looking at how we update it, but keeping to the values of and the feel good and that connection with the viewer.
We're going to rebuild the set. I want it to look exactly the same.
Oh, it can't be exactly
the same. It has to be exactly the same. I can imagine, I can still remember the set of drawers.
Yes, that
with the
big
round
dresser.
handles.
Yeah,
For some reason that is etched in my brain.
Yeah.
What a strange... Oh, that's just come back to me.
Because I used to fly past it, sing it and go and look for my scissors, and there'd be cut out pictures on the front. We won't have that chest of drawers, I'm afraid, but we will have something
For some reason, as a kid, I just had the biggest, strongest urge to use those. They look so satisfying.
Yes, they do. And there were so many of them.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to know what was in there.
Every single one.
Yeah, because when we had a program that utilised those drawers, there was always something interesting. And it was the most everyday, down-to-earth, mundane thing. It might be a comb. What were we going to sing about this comb? You know, what was this comb going to do?
Become a musical instrument.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I could talk to Suzy for hours. A conversation with this incredible woman is like the warmest hug you could ever hope for. But she's a busy lady, so I had to wrap up our chat with a question that I think took Suzy by surprise towards the start of our chat. And we're talking about, what are we worth? What's our time worth? What are we worth as people? If I asked your kids, what do you think mum's worth? What would they say?
Oh, they would say that I was invaluable, that because I've instilled that in them. It'll make me cry because that's the way I instill in them. They are invaluable. They are precious. They are irreplaceable. They are amazing, and they feel that way about me and my husband, which is just so special. I'm so grateful for the relationship that I have with my children, and it's not come without a level of work. If you want something good, you've got to work for it, and many hours spent on the end of a bed chatting into the wee small hours and being more the listener than the talker. And not expecting that your pearls of wisdom are going to be taken on board or anything like that.
No.
We've been taxi drivers all over the city at all hours of the day and night, ensuring their safety and that they could get from to backwards and forwards and things like that. But they know that I'm invaluable and that they're invaluable and that life is invaluable. It's a precious commodity and that we are all very grateful for it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know it is valuable, as we've said. Congratulations, by the way, on being a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit. That's incredible and so well deserved. You're an icon, and I think New Zealand wouldn't be the same without you in it. So,
wow!
Thank you for your time.
You're making me cry again.
I really do appreciate your time because, like I said, this is a weird full circle moment where I'm meeting someone I watched on TV for so many years, and I can see why you're still around and still kicking, because you've got so much to give.
So passionate about it. And yeah, as you say, so much to give. I don't have a bucket list, I have a barrel list, and there's still a lot to do. So
all right.
forward to it.
Well, get back to it.
Okay.
Get back to your list.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. It's time to say goodbye.
An iconic career built on helping Kiwi kids grow while quietly figuring out how to make all the numbers add up behind the scenes. If you took something from this chat, share it. Get in touch at Where's My Money on Instagram or Facebook. Of course, you can watch these full episodes on Spotify and YouTube. I'm Reagan. This was Where's My Money. We'll see you in the next step, where I'll continue to ask that question: where is my money?